Why Greenwood specifically? Why the Bund? Why the Philippine babaylan? Why the Ottoman millet? The answer is never race, never religion, never ethnicity. The answer is always the same thing: functional economic autonomy with replication potential. That is the selection criterion. Every community destroyed across every century meets exactly this description. No exceptions in the documented record. Functional means it works. Not theoretical, not aspirational. Working, proven. The dollar circulating 36 times. The Bund school teaching in Yiddish. The millet governing itself. The babaylan holding authority. Autonomy means it doesn't need the external system. Doesn't need the external bank. The external court. The external currency. The external validation. Self-sufficient. Self-governing. Self-reproducing. Replication potential means other communities could copy it. The model is visible. The architecture is legible. Someone watching from outside could build the same thing. That is the threat, not the community itself. The extraction architecture doesn't fear poverty. Poverty is manageable. Poverty is dependent. The extraction architecture fears the working demonstration, the proof that the system is optional. Optional systems don't get to be empires. If Greenwood spreads to Appalachian white communities, Mexican barrios, Chinese neighborhoods, indigenous reservations, the extraction architecture loses its most important claim: inevitability. The OBA system, West African governance, functional, autonomous, internally legitimate. British colonial administrators didn't call it primitive because it was failing. They called it primitive because it was working without them. The Jewish Kahila, medieval autonomous community governance, internal courts, internal taxation, internal dispute resolution, survived Roman Empire, survived Byzantine persecution, destroyed where extraction capitalism needed the population dependent. The Ottoman millet, non-Muslim communities governing themselves within Islamic framework, Greek Orthodox, Armenian, Jewish, each internally autonomous, each productive, each eliminated or hollowed out when the replacement operating system arrived. The Bund, Eastern Europe, Yiddish civilization, worker cooperatives, mutual aid, cultural institutions, complete autonomous civilizational project, destroyed simultaneously from 3 directions: right, left, internal ideological warfare. Same decade as Greenwood. 3 directions simultaneously is not coincidence. It is the selection criterion operating through multiple vectors. When the target meets the criterion, the destruction comes from wherever it can come from. The direction is irrelevant. The outcome is consistent. The narrative function is identical across every case. Make the destruction appear to be about something else: race, religion, primitive governance, misguided politics, anything except the actual criterion. Functional autonomy with replication potential. Because if the criterion becomes visible, every community that was destroyed recognizes itself in every other community that was destroyed. That recognition is the coalition. The coalition is what the extraction architecture cannot survive. The Appalachian white community destroyed by company towns. The black community destroyed by Greenwood operations. The indigenous community destroyed by reservation systems. The Jewish community destroyed through the Bund elimination. Same criterion, never told. The curriculum keeping them separate is the operation continuing. Each community learns its own destruction as unique. Racial, religious, historical, never economic, never structural. Never the same criterion operating across all of them simultaneously. The most dangerous possible education, showing every targeted community the criterion that selected them, giving the pattern a name, making the separate destructions visible as chapters in the same book. That is what they don't teach. Not because the information is hidden. The deed records exist, the Bund archives exist, the millet documentation exists, the OBA system is documented, the criterion is visible in every case. It just never gets named as the same criterion. Name it once and you can't unname it. Functional autonomy with replication potential. That is what was destroyed. In every case, across every century and every empire, under every ideology. The criterion doesn't change. Only the mask does. The beneficiaries of the system don't care about your background. It only cares whether what you built proves the extraction system is optional. If it does, then what you've built is a target, whether you know it yet or not. The bagel shop owner, the Appalachian miner, the Filipino nurse, the black small business owner, the indigenous farmer. Different communities, different wounds, same architecture extracting from all of them. They never compared notes. This is not accidental. The coalition that would change everything has almost formed twice in American history. Both times the architecture responded immediately. Both times the response was the same. Break the recognition before it becomes organization. European servants in Virginia planned an uprising alone. Grievance was simple. Work the land. Get nothing. 12 years later, they weren't alone. Proximity had done what no organizer planned. The people working the same land recognized each other. That recognition became Bacon's Rebellion. First, Bacon's Rebellion. Virginia. Indentured Europeans and enslaved Africans fighting together against the colonial elite. Cross-racial working class solidarity. Documented. Real. Effective. The colonial elite's response was not military alone, it was architectural. Whiteness was constructed as a legal category after Bacon's Rebellion. Deliberately. Virginia Slave Code 1705. Privileges attached to the white category. Penalties attached to the black category. The explicit purpose was to prevent that coalition from forming again. The coal miner didn't construct whiteness. He was conscripted into it. Those are completely different things. The privilege framework collapses that distinction, which is precisely its function. Protect the architects. Blame the conscripted. The psychological wage. Poor white communities accepted lower material wages in exchange for not being at the bottom. Position over prosperity. The capital layer paid this wage at zero cost to itself. The community paid with its own potential coalition. Second, the industrial workers of the world, IWW, organized across racial lines. Same union, same rights, same wages regardless of background. The extraction architecture saw one threat, not a labor movement, a cross-racial recognition event. The convergence. Black veterans returning armed and expecting democracy. IWW building cross-racial coalitions. Greenwood proving autonomous economics worked. All three simultaneously. The architecture responded to all three simultaneously. Red Summer, Palmer Raids, Greenwood 1921. The Palmer Raids dismantled the IWW with coordinated precision across multiple cities simultaneously. That precision required prior intelligence infrastructure, years of infiltration. The coalition almost formed. The architecture had been preparing for it the entire time. Each community was then given its own platform, its own narrative, its own wounds centered separately. The black community received racial justice framing. The white working class received nationalist framing. The Jewish community received anti-Semitism framing. Each real, each separate, never connected. The platform to feel slighted is nemesis-generating architecture. Take the legitimate wound. Give it maximum emotional expression. Zero forensic framework. The anger activates. The nemesis generates. It never reaches the capital layer. Because the capital layer was never named. The wound without the forensic framework soothes but doesn't heal. The grandmother knew what happened. Her narrative preserved the pain across generations. But narrative without mechanism produces anger without address. The nemesis finds the nearest available target, usually another member of the same targeted community. The frozenness is not weakness. It is the expected output of engineered helplessness applied across generations. When building gets burned enough times, the nervous system stops connecting action to future. The subconscious keeps processing. Something doesn't add up. The forensic framework is the missing piece. Every community's elite tends toward capital capture. Most communities maintain enough internal distrust to slow the process. When that distrust gets suppressed in the name of solidarity, the elite operates without accountability. The community gets managed. The solidarity that was supposed to protect them becomes the mechanism of their extraction. The self-hating label, the Uncle Tom label, the sellout label. Every community has a version, each one designed to make accountability feel like betrayal, each one protecting the elite from the internal criticism that would expose the capture, each one deployed against the community's most honest voices. The curriculum keeping each destruction separate is the operation continuing in peacetime. Each community studies its own wound in its own course in its own decade. The pattern never becomes visible. The coalition never recognizes itself. The capital layer never gets named. Bacon's rebellion proved the coalition was possible. 1676. Whiteness was constructed to prevent it. 1919 proved it was still possible. The Palmer raids and Red Summer broke it again. The architecture has been specifically maintained for 350 years to prevent one thing: the recognition. The recognition that the Appalachian miner and the Greenwood resident and the Bund member and the Filipino OFW were all targets of the same criterion: functional autonomy with replication potential. The recognition that their separate wounds have the same address. The wounds are real. The communities are real. The separate narratives are real. What is manufactured is the separation, the curriculum, the platforms, the psychological wage, the internal accountability suppression, all manufactured, all maintained, all serving the same function: keep the coalition from forming. The coalition hasn't formed at scale in 350 years, not because the communities don't exist, not because the model doesn't work, because every time the recognition begins, the architecture deploys whatever is available: whiteness, nationalism, ideological warfare, infiltration. The tool changes. The function doesn't. What would it take? Not a political movement, not an ideology, not a leader, a shared forensic framework. The same criterion named across every community simultaneously. The same capital layer identified. The same deed records examined. The same pattern visible to everyone at once. The series you are watching is that framework, not the answer. The beginning of the conditions that make the answer possible. The grandmother had the narrative. This is the forensic record she was waiting for, with the addresses attached. The bagel shop owner is on the team. The miner is on the team. The nurse is on the team. The farmer is on the team. The small business owner is on the team. They just haven't been introduced yet. That's what the curriculum prevented. That's what this is for.